Well, hi teacher, hi everybody. My name is Mariana Moctezuma Gonzalez, and today I'm going to talk about how I think the world will be in 10 years from now. According to my experience and my short life, a lot of things can change your time, and it is really interesting to think those kind of changes. So this is how I think life will be in 10 years. Um, Talking about education, before this pandemic started, I thought that in 10 years, virtual classes will be a reality. This is exactly what I imagined it was going to happen. Of course, at the end, life gave me a surprise. Now I have changed my idea of this a little bit. And in terms of technology in education, I think that the use of technology and that kind of sources will still be very useful for teachers and students. Probably students won't have to use notebooks and pencils anymore. Each student will have their own computer completely free, and this is something that schools will provide. Because of this, every student will have the chance to get the knowledge they need because information, computers, and internet will be available basically for everybody. And English. I think that English as a language will have more importance. We have to be honest, and I think that this is something we all know. Unfortunately, English classes are not something that schools matter. We all have been told that this is something that we have to learn because we have to, but I think that we haven't given it the right importance. Even though at this point of our lives, I think that it is pretty clear that English can be an excellent tool to do a lot of interesting things, like traveling, for the education, to get a job. I mean, it is necessary. So imagine that English would have been recognized properly for all schools and that they are going to take seriously that the fact of learning this language is vital. Probably kindergarten, elementary school, secondary school, and high school will take more seriously this aspect. And teachers will be more prepared, and most of the students will be bilingual by then. Now, talking about the environment, I have to be honest in this point. And according to what I have read, what I have been told, and looking at the actual situation of the environment, I am not very optimistic about it. Nowadays, we have a lot of problems going around this topic because people just can't be able to see what we're doing to the planet. And this is something that, of course, will bring serious consequences. Global warming is a reality, and this is not improving at all. Oceans and sea are being contaminated more and more and more. The level of the sea is going up every single day. There are a couple of countries that are suffering from lack of water, and I wouldn't be surprised if this becomes a reality for more countries. We have to look and be realistic. Actually, I remember reading a scientific article, and I remember that it said that in the year 2030, I think, it will be the limit for the humanity to avoid like a global catastrophe because of the bad situation of the environment. If this doesn't change by then, we're going to have a lot of problems for sure. Now, talking about society, I think that there are going to be a lot of changes in terms of ideology. For example, people do not think in the same way they used to do in 10 years. Thoughts evolve, and most of this is because of historical events, social agreements, internet, and the bunch of information we can find on it. It depends on a lot of factors. A couple of things that I think will happen are, for example, that the feminist movement is going to have a big advance. We all are conscious that the feminist movement has been something very important for the history of times. Thanks to it, women have been able to have a voice inside of the society, but I think we have a long way to go through. So I'm very optimistic about it. I think that more women and men, of course, are going to be more conscious about this. Probably the government will support much more this movement, or at least the society in general is going to be able to open their minds and be like able to be more empathic about this. Another thing is that the LGBT community won't be discriminated anymore, or at least not as much as nowadays. I think that the fight of the LGBT community to be listened and respected has been very big. Of course that there have been some changes about it. Now, I think we are a little bit more conscious and people has been able to empathize, but there is a lot to do as well. If we continue like this, in 10 years, I hope that discrimination, violence, and bad treatments will reduce. And finally, family values. I'm pretty sure that families will be more open-minded. They're going to be taking out a lot of things. Probably there is going to be more emotional support from parents to their children, and the different types of family will have been accepted by them. Because we have to remember that now we have to recognize that the conventional family, like mom, dad, and children, is not the only kind of family that exists. Well, in conclusion, these are some of the changes I think the world and society in general will go through in 10 years. This is only a speculation, of course. I cannot read or see the future, but at least for me, it is interesting that we're going to be part of the changes. We are going to have the opportunity to see the world and our ideas to evolve. I want to think that everything is going to be okay, but the most important thing is that we have to know that there are a lot of situations that we can control and that we are not going to be able to control. But the only future we can construct, or at least try it, is our own future. So let's enjoy what we're living today and let's just learn and enjoy it. That's basically it. And thank you so much for listening and thank you so much for your attention.